In our society today, there are many concerns involving the law enforcement. The main concern is the role of a police officer, firefighter, or paramedic. The duty of a police officer is to serve and protect, but people often feel victimized and unprotected by law enforcement. According to the New York Times, in the Ferguson trial, an unarmed African American teenager was shot and killed by a Caucasian police officer because a teenager was charging after him for stealing in a convenience store. Riots and protests broke out because of the inequality of this case. People burnt down stores in their own town to prove a point. But what were they trying to prove by being destructive of their own things? Entirely speaking, I do understand there are going to be good cops and bad cops, but the inequality between ethnicities is the same with the discrimination against police officers. I don't understand why people are protesting over this instead of things that may be even worse. For instance, in ABC7 Chicago News, Dwight Doty was charged with first-degree murder in the November fatal shooting of 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee in the Gresham neighborhood. Later on, more information was revealed in which the case of the murder was because of gang affiliations with the young boy's parents. After hearing this case, there were no protests or riots because of this incident. People should be protesting for more important things rather than the case mentioned earlier. No one bothered to even notice this case of the execution of a little boy. Because of the issues with inequality, police officers are discriminated against for doing their job. How are police officers supposed to serve and protect, but also be careful with the actions they make on the job because they might be considered racist? According to the Washington Times, a Virginia police officer was killed on her first day of work during a fatal shooting. Statistically speaking, in the first 2 months of 2016, 11 line-of-duty police officers were killed due to firearm relations. This time of last year, 2015, one of the 15 officers' deaths were firearm-related. These statistics demonstrate the rise of willingness to go against the law enforcement. Police officers put their lives at risk to save others, and they barely receive any credit. Coming from a family of police officers, paramedics, and city workers, I do understand from a different aspect. But I believe it is unjust to protest against causes for the wrong reasons. To support my statements in the article on NBC Connecticut and West Hartford, Connecticut, a police officer was waiting in line at a local Dunkin' Donuts when one of the employees said loudly in a room full of customers, "He didn't get the message. We don't serve cops here." After reading this article, I was astounded by the discrimination against law enforcement. Altogether, I believe protests today are unreasonable and irrelevant because no one bothers to notice the true problems in our society today. The church believes in equality and fairness, which relates to this issue. This is a violation of the purpose of the human person as created by God because people are treated unfairly due to job relations or ethnicities. Human dignity is also being upheld because discrimination is occurring and people are not being treated with equality. Natural law is violated because of the Dunkin' Donuts situation relating to immoral behavior and actions. Church law is being violated because God created us all equally, but in this case, people are not treated fairly. Civil law is violated dealing with city and state issues. The act is sinful because of the injustice of the common people. The magisterium believes discrimination is unjust, and one vice I see is wrath. The virtues that are needed are temperance, charity, patience, and kindness. In order to remedy the injustice, we can realize and be aware of discrimination around us and try to better ourselves in the image and likeness of God. Thank you.